All right, here's how to clean part one. In this video, we're gonna be covering the setup, right? So not learning how to clean in this video, we are just learning how to set up so that you know how to start your clean. There's a whole lot of simple things that you can do to set yourself up for success that if you don't really cover, you are not going to have a good clean, all right? Keep in mind, these are general, these are not specific. This works for most people, but things can change depending on limb lengths and injuries and experience level. All right, so first step, approaching the bar. When we approach the bar, if we look down, the bottom of our shoelaces, what's closest to the toe, should be directly under the bar when we look down. If we are at the top of our shoelaces, that's going to be too close. Reason being is when we reach down to set up, the bar should be close to our shins but not touching. All right. Now, feet distance is going to be very different from person to person, but for most people, toes pointed slightly out, preferably forward if you have the flexibility for it, and inside of the lines on the barbell. All right. This is going to be the thing that changes the most from person to person, but for most people, inside of the lines on the barbell is a good starting point. You're going to bend down to reach the bar, and the bar should be close to the shins but not touching. We're going to find where we put our hands. For most people, it should be a moderate bench press grip, so thumbs distance away from the line. We're going to grab our hook grip, and what you'll notice is that my elbows should not affect my knees. That doesn't mean that they don't touch, that just means that my elbows should not be pushing my knees in. All right? A lot of the time, when somebody has too close of a grip, they will get down in a position and their elbows are pushing their knees in, which is going to cause a weak pull. You will not be very strong in that position. All right, so again, we've got feet inside of the lines, bar on top of the shoelaces, hands thumbs distance away from the line, not affecting the knees. There's our setup position. The next thing, how to know where to put your hips and shoulders. So, good guideline for most people is hips should be above the knees and shoulders should be above the hips. So that looks like this. And then from the side. And that is going to make sure that we are set up in the best possible position. The last thing that we need to keep in mind is where do we put our body weight? So when we're in the bottom of this, we could be way back on our heels, we could be way forward on our toes. Where we want to be is about center on the midfoot with a slight bias towards the ball of the foot. So that's as subtle as the difference between here, here, and here. That's going to take some practice to find out exactly where you want to be, but we should have midfoot, slight bias towards the ball of the foot. That is going to look like this. And from the side. And the last thing that we're going to do before we start the clean is take a big deep breath and set our lats. All right? So we have feet, hands, hips and shoulders. We are set. We're going to take a big deep breath in. And we're going to try and think about shoving our shoulders down towards our hips, not necessarily squeezed back. We want a flat back, but not overly exaggerated. We're going to shove our shoulders down towards our hips. Okay? Those are the last things. So again, that's going to be feet inside of the lines. When you approach the bar, bar should be covering the shoelaces. Our hands are going to go onto the bar without rolling the bar forward or backwards at all. When we put our hands on the bar, it should not affect our knee position. So thumbs distance away from the line is usually a good recommendation. The next thing is our hips should be above our knees and our shoulders should be above our hips with a slight deviation towards on the ball of your foot. All right, we don't want to be too far back on the heel. We don't want to be too far on the toes. Midfoot, slight deviation towards the hip or towards the ball of the foot. The last thing, we're going to take a big deep breath into the stomach. We're going to set our lats by shoving our shoulders down, and then we will start the lift. More on that in part two. Thanks, guys.